solving equations, all we've done are ones that involve adding, subtracting. So how do we solve for y? Oh, what does solve mean? I always forget to remind you. I want to solve that. What does that mean? That's how I solve. I'll subtract 3 from both sides. Now remember, you got to keep things equal. Oh, this is what algebra is all about. But it's not hard, because remember, I want to get y all by itself. 3 is tagging along. Okay? And if I do that, and I just do what it says. If you just trust the math and do what it says, you're fine. This is why. Can't do anything with that. What's 3 and a negative 3? What's 3 plus a negative 3? Excuse me, 3 plus a negative 3? No, you have $3, I will take it away. You're going to have nothing, that's right. What's 10 take away 3? Forget that they're signed numbers. If you have $10, I take 3 away from you, you have 7. Did I solve that correctly? And how do you know? Dean, how do you know? I could have taken 4 away from the 10. That's not wrong. Didn't solve it, though. Oh, because when you put this back in here, you get a true statement. That's what I'm looking for. You take 7, put it back in here. Do you get 10? Yeah, you do. So what does solve mean? It means to find the number or numbers. Okay, so I want to find what y is that makes the sentence true. That's what I want to do. I just want to find what will work here. Inspection's wonderful until it gets hard. So we got to understand a process now. So we're going to do the easy things that you could just look at maybe and figure it out. So I want to find out what number can I put in for x that will make this true. And x has a negative 3 tagging along. I don't want the negative 3. I shouldn't see blank papers either. Where's your packet? Do you have your packet? Because I don't know where my extras are. Do you need some paper? I don't want x with a negative 3. Negative 3 is making my life miserable. I'd like to get rid of negative 3. How do I do that? How would I get rid of a negative 3? Yeah, let's add a 3. Does that get rid of a negative 3? Now, you have friends in this world, Dean, and you've got to keep them friends. And what you do for one friend, you must do for the other friend. Think of this as an equal sign, and these are your 2 friends. So if I add 3 here, I better add 3 here. It's a balance. I got to keep things balanced. And then the math tells me what to do. Riley, what's a negative 3 and 3? There's 0. And then what's x plus nothing? It's just an x. That's the algebra part. The easy part, actually. And then I do this. This is arithmetic. 7 and 3 is? What's 7 plus 3? 10. Does it work? Did I do it right? My job is to find out the number that makes it true. Is negative 3 plus 10, is that equal to 7? And you may use a calculator if you'd like. I don't care. Remember this? Is it coming back now? Let's get a little tougher. 3 isn't so hard. What might be hard for you is writing out the steps because you might see the answer, which is good that you see the answer. But what if it's more complicated? So I want x all by itself. I have highlighters. You want to highlight the letters? Do so. So which one am I going to get rid of, the 7 or the 15? Keaton, which one do I want to get rid of? I want the x all by itself. I can't get rid of x. I want to find out what x is. The answer is 8 because, and you're right, you're just looking at it probably. I don't want x, I don't want 7 hanging around with x. How do you get rid of 7? What's the opposite of adding 7? Subtracting 7. So let's subtract 7. Now, what I do with one side, I must do with the other. Keep things lined up. Think of that as a wall. What you do on one side, you have to do on the other side. What's 15 take away 7? 8. Right. Then you do what it says, equals x, and then I check. Is that 0? If it's not 0, it's not wrong. It's just not done. Okay, what about this one? This one's more complicated. I always want to simplify if I can. I can simplify that. How do you simplify that? What's p minus a minus 3? Josh, what's p minus a minus 3? What happens to these two negatives? So this really is p plus 3 equals 4, and that's so much easier to solve. I don't even want to go there on the first line. So how do you get the p all by itself? I'll change colors here. How do I get this guy all by itself? How do I get rid of this? Which one do I want to get rid of? 3 or 4, actually. I should ask that question. Pardon? Well, let's try that. Is 7 plus 3 equal to 4? No. So that didn't work. So how do I solve that? So I'm going to write this up again. P plus 3 equals 4. You have to think. What does it mean? Math is easy if you think. If you just look at it as a P and a 3 and a 4, I can see why you're confused. But it's saying I have some number. And if I add 3 to it, I'm going to have 4. So in my pocket, I don't have any pockets, but anyway, I have some money in my pocket. And if you give me $3, I'm going to have $4. How much money did I start with? What? What did I start with? Nadine, what did I start with? 1. Right, how do you undo the adding 3? It's always the number with the letter. What do? We subtract 3. So I get P equals, because that's 0, I check in my head. Sometimes I do it too fast. And what's 4 take away 3? 1. I know you know that. And 5 gets harder because it's negative numbers. I have two numbers. I want to move one of them, the negative 4 or the negative 12. And it really doesn't matter, except one gets you to the answer faster than the other. I want u all by itself. Lindsay, which one's with the u that I'd like to get rid of? Well, which one's with the u, the negative 4 or the 12? It's the one on the same side of these equal signs. So how would I get rid of a negative 4? Keaton, how would I get rid of it? And she's got it. How would I get rid of negative 4? Corey, you're supposed to have your packet out and put your signs away. Corey, headset off, pack it away, and get my packet out. We're doing math. Oh, it is? Oh, the white one. Okay. Sorry. Good. How do I get you by itself? What do I have to do? Plus the 4. You do the opposite of whatever's there. And then here's where we have the hard part. And you shouldn't be watching, you should be doing. Still see a lot of you with empty packets. So, that's just easy. What's a negative 4 and positive 4? 0. Equals, here's where we usually have the problems. What's a negative 12 and a positive 4? $12 overdrawn. Okay. And I put $4 in the bank. I'm still going to be overdrawn. That's it. You remember this? You should have yourself filled out, or you have it already. And how do you check it? Now, easy ones I would expect you to check. Negative 4 plus negative 8, is that equal to negative 12? Okay. Okay, now we are changing the operation. What operation is this between 2 and x? It's not 2 plus x. What is it? Corey? Evan, where's your packet? You lost it? Because I don't know if I have x's. I just have to find them. What operation's there? It's either add, subtract, multiply, or divide. That's all we've been doing. What do 2 x's mean? 2 packages of Skittles. That's what? 2 plus a package of Skittles? Or is it 2 bags of Skittles means you're multiplying? Keaton, what does a 2x mean? Yeah, put that away. Can we stand up and do jumping jacks, maybe? Will that work? What does 2x mean? It means 2 times x. How would you undo multiplying by 2? What's the opposite of multiplying by 2? Dividing by 2. No, we'll just divide by 2. Remember, you want x all by itself. Follow the rules. Some of you will subtract. What's a negative 2 divided by a negative 22 divided by a positive 2? First off, is it positive or negative? Negative. And 2 goes into 2 how many times? No. 2 goes into 2. 2 times what is 2? 1. 2 goes into that 2. 1 is 11. That's it. Did I do it right? It's 2 times negative 11 equal to negative 22. And you guys should turn the page, because that's what page we're on. Turn the page. Let me get turn the page. And I want you to show the steps when I'm showing them. Some of you have some alternate forms. No, because they're not right. Yeah, there you go. So we're going to do these. I don't know why it's covered up. Here. And then we probably have a worksheet to do. Gosh, what am I going to do with this one? What operations between negative 4 and y? 4. I don't see a plus. You have to see a plus. That's good. I made that mistake. It's times. Anytime you see a number with a letter, it's multiplication. What's the opposite of multiplying by negative 4? Dividing by negative 4. Again, it's usually the arithmetic. Notice where the bar is. This means division. Whereas on the preceding page, the bar was down here, meaning I'm going to add these. So you have to know the rules, that's all. What's a negative 4 divided by a negative 4? Riley, do you know what negative 4 divided by negative 4 is? No? It's 1. Negative 4 plus negative 4 is 0. So what's 36 divided by negative 4? What's 36 divided by 4? We know that one. Right, Keaton? Pay attention. 9, is it positive or negative? Negative. Is that right? Is negative 4 times a negative 9? Lindsay, is that right? Is that a positive 36? Yeah. I always know if I do these right, assuming I know my arithmetic. And you may use a calculator. Okay, maybe this is harder. I don't know. What operation is this? M, what would I say in a word here? Ryan, what is that? M, what word it goes with that line? Divided by 5 equals 10. What do you divide by 5 to get 10? I want to undo it. What's the opposite of dividing by 5? Multiplying by 5. I'll do it on this side, and I'll do it on this side. And Corey, this is why we had to know how to do fractions. I have to know how to multiply 5m over 5. What's going to happen to the 5? They're going to cancel. They're going to reduce. 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 5 once, or you could just divide them. So I'm left with 1m, and I'll write the 1 unless you really want me to. And what's 5 times 10? 50. You're doing the opposite of whatever operation's there. Is 50 divided by 5, is that equal to 10? Yeah. So what about this one? Do it as a proportion too. It's x divided by 3. What's the opposite of divided by 3? Nadine, what am I going to do to this one? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I think you said multiply. Anyway, we'll do 3 over here. What happens to these 3's? One's in the numerator, one's in the denominator. What happens if you divide 3 by 3? You get what? They cancel each other out, you get 1. Well, does anybody know what 3 times 36 is without a calculator? You may use a calculator. It's 108. Bigger. 3 times 3 gives you the 90. It's really 3 times 30. 90. And then 3 times 6 is 18. Now, if you did it that way, the way I just did here, you actually did quite a bit of sophisticated algebra that you'll do next year. It's all related. Algebra is arithmetic with letters. That's all it is, Keaton. Like, what am I going to do with this one? What's the opposite of dividing by -1? You might like this better than the adding subtracting ones. What's the opposite of dividing? Multiplying. Let's multiply by -1. It'll undo it. So C equals what? What kind of 13? -13. So if you're doing auto body repair, you take the parts off, you undo what the manufacturer did, you fix the part, you put it back on. Maybe you have to do that. So they had to do with the door when my doors did it. How about this one? What operations here? -3. What word is that? Don't see a plus sign. It's times. Some number is 0. You can think of this differently. I can do the process, but if you have a multiplication problem and the result is 0, what has to be true about one of the numbers? How do you get 0? Dean? 2 times what gives me 0? Josh? 2 times what gives me 0? Yeah. 5 times what gives me 0? Evan? Yeah. So -3 times what gives me 0? 0. Now, what you just did in algebra, we call a zero product property. If you multiply 2 numbers, you get 0. One of them's got to be 0. It's the only way to get 0. So now you just did some things you're going to do next year. Just a little intro. Adine, wake up. Okay, Adine, do this one. You could divide by -3, and I almost rather have you zero product property. What is that one? You should be doing these with me. There are lots of scratch paper if you don't have them. What operations here, Josh? Keaton? This is -a divided by 10. What's the opposite of dividing by 10? Multiplying by 10. Uh-oh. Well, it's not wrong. Let's see what we get. What do you get here? You know, multiplying by 10 is just add a 0 to the 50. It's 500. Equals. And then when I do this, I still am left with a -a. What number is in front of the a? I don't want -a. I want a. This is the opposite of some numbers, 500. If I understand, I can do it that way. What number's here? A negative what? Is it 2? 3? What number is this? -1. The only number we don't write is the 1. Everything else, if you see something else, that's what it is. So I don't want a negative sign here. Does anybody know what the answer is going to be? What does a have to be? I want a positive 500. What number does this have to be? This is going to change whatever number's in here to a positive. To its opposite. So that one. The opposite of what gives me a positive 500? It's the only thing I could put in there and make that true. Josh? What can I put in there to make that true? What does the sign have to be to give me positive? Can it be a positive? What's a positive times a negative? That doesn't work, does it? So what's the sign have to be? What does the sign have to be? It has to be a negative. What number has to be there to give you 500 back again? Don't make it hard. Keaton, what number does that have to be? What's equal to 500? 500. So what's a equal to? It's -500. You could divide by a -1. You'll get that way. I don't care. In fact, this is the same question. This says the opposite of what gives me 12. What is the what? Opposite of what number gives me 12? Adam, do you know? Huh? Opposite of what gives me... Well, if I make it 12, that almost works. What does the sign have to be? Negative. Or you could take this, negative h equals 12, and divide by negative 1. I'd rather have you understand what it is. It says the opposite of this number is a positive 12. The only thing opposite of that number has to be a negative 12. I think we're ready for a worksheet. Maybe if this thing moves. What's this doing? Oh, here we go. Oh, that's what it's doing. Okay, you don't have this on your handout, I don't believe, or do you? But this is a good thing to do. Oh, and we have some more equations we can solve too. What's the inverse operation to addition? Subtraction. Does that work? What's the inverse next? Question 2. What's the inverse operation to subtraction? Addition. You guys want to come up and do this? Whoopsie. Oh, I did it wrong. I pressed the wrong button. How about that one? Read. What is the inverse operation to multiplication? Division. That's all we're doing. And what's the inverse operation to division? Multiplication. Oh, that's why I got it wrong. Because I pressed the wrong button. Oh, I guess I pressed that way. Okay. So we could play that game again if you want. Okay. We always do 2 things. Would you put deodorant under just one arm? I hope not. Would you put nail polish on one hand? Oh, okay, some people do. They might have one color on one hand and one on the other. I don't wear nail polish. Would you wear just one sock? Or would you wear just one shoe? One sock? Oh, I only do that if I'm desperate. But generally speaking, everything in math comes in pairs. Okay. Now, this is our essential question right here. 3 people go out to lunch. They decide to share the $3 bill evenly. How much do you each pay? You can do this, can't you? No, it's $12 for 3 people. So there's your equation. 3 times what gives you 12? What's the what? How much do you each pay then? This is real life. You're going to go out to dinner or lunch with somebody, and you're going to split the bill. So you better know what you're doing. How much do you each pay? No? Right? What's the answer? Yes, you do. 4. 3 times 4 is 12, right? What does X represent? X represents what you're going to pay. We can solve for X and answer the question. You can always use algebra to solve those questions. Personally, I just sit there and think, okay, got to divide it up evenly. 3 people times the amount of pays is $12. Well, here's some more problems. I'm going to let you try these. Okay? So we're going to work on our packet for now. And so you're going to try them. How are you going to solve for W? Corey, how are you going to solve for W? Where's your packet? It says some number. What's the word here? What's this word? What is the word for this line? Divided by 4 equals 12. How do you undo division? You just told me the inverse was what? Multiplication. So we're going to multiply by 4. And we want you to show the steps because things get harder. And they'll get harder fast. 48. Okay? If you don't like the way that's written, why don't we write it this way? X divided by 7 equals 5. Okay? I'll have to realign my board. So you guys try those. I'm going to fix this. Okay, fix it. Don't just sit there. You have packets to work on. Work. And then when we put it together with distributed properties, it's going to be tough. Okay, now why is this not... Why is this hidden? I don't want this hidden. I thought I did that. Did it not apply? Oops. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to do it again. Oh, I was. Okay, let's see if it works. Try again. I don't know. That's going to be a problem for me all day today. Okay, so you guys have certain things to try. We'll come around and check. Ooh, I don't know. Yes, I do too. Oh, we could do this on Sentios. Except that I can't. I could try it. Let's try this again. Get your tools. No, I don't want to do that back. See if that works. It'd be nice to do it on Sentios. I think I'm doing something wrong. Maybe it's default. I don't care if it's anonymous or not. Hey, this works. Cool. There you go. Why it didn't work the other time? I don't know. So you're going to find 1508. Anonymous mode. You can put your answers in. Might wake you up a little. If you need a calculator, you may use one. I don't care. D, no sleeping in class. That counts as an absence. Sure it does. You're not participating. I'll be in the nurse's office. Send you to the nurse's office. Okay. So, well, it works for me. Did you find a class? This one's dead. No, it worked just fine for me. You can see I'm there. Okay, there's another one. Might need a different Sentio. I don't know. Yeah, it's there. Except why are these all dead? That one's dead. No, I joined it. Find a class. What? Yeah, it's anonymous, yeah. I don't know how to do it the other way. This class is started. I thought. Okay, we don't. There it goes. You substitute in the formula. The distance, you should know that miles is distance, or kilometers is distance. So this is distance. And the rate that you travel is how many kilometers you go per day. So when you drive at 55 miles per hour, that means if you drive for 1 hour, you have traveled 55 miles. How fast do race car drivers drive? Well, probably over 200 miles per hour. Depends on what race we're talking about. So that means in 1 hour you've traveled 200 miles. So in an hour, you're halfway to Chicago. In 2 hours, you're in Chicago. Do you know how long it takes a plane to get to Chicago? Hour and a half by the time from takeoff to landing, you get into gates. That's only an hour and a half. It's only actually about 45 minutes to Chicago. I know, but it doesn't take them that long to actually fly it. The flight time is not that long. It's going to the gates and everything. So let's do the problem we have here. A subway train travels at a rate of 50 miles per hour. And Write and solve an equation for the number of minutes, okay? Whoops. That always happens. Number of minutes it takes a train to travel 10 miles. My formula is distance equals rate times time. If you're taking ninth grade science or have taken it, you've used this formula a lot. Right? I've taught it. So what's the 50 miles per hour? Where does that go? I have a D and an R and a T. What is 50 miles per hour? You got a 1 in 3 chance of getting this right. 50 miles per hour. That's a rate. This is equal to 50 miles per hour. And it says I have 10 miles. What's 10 miles? That's distance. Might be easier to find it. And what I don't know is the time. We'll call it T. Let's substitute it in here. So my distance is 10 miles equals 50 miles per hour, and T is the number of hours. And if I look at the units have to work. So the hours would cancel and get miles equals miles. How do you solve that equation? I don't like it. It's 10 equals 50 T. What do you have to do to solve that? What do you have to do to solve that? Which number's with the letter, the 50 or the 10? Peyton, which one's with the letter, the 50 or the 10? Which one's with the letter? 50. So that's the one I have to get rid of. So I'm going to divide by 50. And that's 50. What happens to the zeros when I divide? They cancel out. So my time is 1/5 of an hour. It asked me for minutes. This is not an easy question. Now, I want 1/5 of an hour. Do I have to know a little fraction stuff? Yes, I do. It's 1/5 of how many minutes in an hour? 60. 60 minutes. You have to multiply these. You can use a calculator, but I know what 1/5 of 60 is. Do you guys know? You do a lot of baking and cooking. I better know how to do this. Things are gonna burn. You divide 5 into 60. You can do a calculator if you want, or you could do 1/5 times 60. That will also work. Take me too long to get my calculator up. How many times does 5 go into 6? 1. I don't want any space here. 5 into 10 is 2. So T equals 12 minutes. So they plan all that out. This is all scheduling on the subway. They don't just send out the trains. They have schedules. They know how fast the train's going to go. They know how far it is. They have to figure out the time it's going to take to get there because you don't want trains running into trains. And then you have subway schedules. Ever been to New York? Travel subway? Have fun. But you got schedules. You have to be able to read the maps and read the schedule, which is not necessarily an easy task. It'd be kind of fun to grab some of that. Bring it in there. So you should be finishing up your packet. Tomorrow we're going to start with that worksheet. That's what we're doing. And then we're going to get into a little bit more review with that, and then we're going to get into the hard material. It gets quite a bit harder. I will be honest.